Hi, and thank you for inviting me to the COP. I am Dr. Cecile Girardin. I'm a technical director of the Nature-Based Solutions Initiative and science lead of the Oxford Biodiversity Network. I'm here today to talk to you about nature's place in the race to net zero, I mean. And I will start by sharing my screen. I have a few slides to show. So we talk about the race to net zero a lot, of course, and it's about decarbonizing our economy. And of course, our priority is to achieve net zero by mid-century and to stay below 1.5 degree warming. Yet at the core of this is the need to shift to a resilient society, and this can only be achieved by investing in actions that are net zero, socially just, and ecologically sound, so high in biodiversity. So I wanted to talk to you about nature-based solutions, which are a term, an umbrella term that include ecosystem-based adaptation, disaster risk reduction, and reduced emissions from avoided deforestation and land degradation. So nature-based solutions is a term that's gained a lot of traction in the last couple of years, and that involves working with and enhancing nature to address societal goals. This concept is grounded in the knowledge that healthy biodiverse ecosystems produce a diverse range of services on which human well-being depends. But the extent to which nature brings the benefits we depend on depends on how we invest in and implement these solutions. So on one hand, nature can help us mitigate climate change. You may hear a lot about planting trees as a way to capture carbon, but it's far from being that simple. This focus on planting trees for carbon storage is sometimes dangerous, and sometimes this attitude can encourage people to replace amazing natural ecosystems, grasslands or savannas with fast-growing tree plantations. So that's something to bear in mind. Let's have a quick look at how much nature-based solutions, which are sometimes called natural climate solutions, can contribute to mitigating climate change. So natural climate solutions are a subset of nature-based solutions. We talk about natural climate solutions when we're talking about mitigation. That's using or investing in protecting intact lands or managing working lands or restoring native ecosystems to avoid emissions and to enhance sinks. So you can see here that natural climate solutions or nature-based solutions have the potential to avoid emissions or enhance sinks by 10 gigaton carbon per year. And this comes from protecting intact lands, from managing working lands, and from restoring native cover. About 40% comes from protecting land that already exists. So we don't need any new land to achieve this. About 40% comes from managing lands that we're already working on. So better management of timberlands or increasing soil carbon sinks in croplands, or changing a grazing regime to increase again soil carbon sink or the diversity of the grassland the animals are grazing on. And only 20% of this mitigation potential comes from restoring ecosystems. So when we talk about planting trees to offset carbon emissions, we need to remember that only 20% comes from restoring forest and wetlands and grasslands for carbon mitigation globally. So the take-home message here is that in most countries, the majority of nature-based solution mitigations come from protecting and management of working lands, not simply by restoring ecosystems. But so when we estimate these, the contribution of nature to mitigation, we need to bear in mind that these estimates must come well constrained. So these constraints include biodiversity safeguards, restoring forest ecosystems in areas that are ecologically appropriate for forests, or keeping wetlands if the wetland is the appropriate ecosystem. Again, if a savanna is the native ecosystem, then we would aim to restore or protect the savanna. We would need to exclude boreal biomes due to the albedo effect. If you plant, you wouldn't want to plant trees on boreal biomes or increase albedo. We need to consider the saturation of ecosystem carbon sequestration rates. At some point, a forest will be mature and saturated and won't be absorbing as much carbon. We need to consider food security, fiber security, and the complexities of the governance issues. So land rights and conflict between land ownership, management, and inequalities in the region. And all this needs to be grounded in the fact that the mitigation potential is sensitive to the cost of carbon. So the figures we've been looking at so far looks at a cost of carbon of less than $100 per ton of CO2e. But nature's place in the race is not all about carbon. And investing in ecologically sound and socially just and carbon reducing actions helps us transition to a thriving, resilient economy. There's a strong case made for biodiversity in our economy. Lots of it is summarized in the Dasgupta review. And it's important to realize that biodiversity underpins most of our economies. And our economies are embedded in the natural world. They rely on services provided by healthy ecosystems. Yet the world is experiencing unprecedented loss in biodiversity. And the investment in nature represents only a small proportion of the total sustainability finance that is booming at the moment. So this century calls for economic thinking that unleashes the potential of transformative change and encourages the development of bioeconomies and restores humans as full participants in the natural processes that support life on Earth. This is when we talk, what we're talking about when we talk about resilient economies. Resilient economies are going beyond sustainability. Most companies will, or governments will look at sustainability as avoiding doing harm to the environment. We now need to think about transformative change, and that means going beyond avoiding harm and working with nature, in harmony with nature, in harmony with life on Earth, and supporting these ecosystems that provide all the important functions we need to survive on Earth. So I hope that's a very quick summary, and that was a clear summary for you. And please don't hesitate to contact me if you need anything. I'm here for you. I am always happy to provide advice or information if you need it. Thank you.